Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Selden, and this is Finding the Perfect Match, Recruit and Retain Your Ideal Enrollment. It's one of the two weekly broadcasts from the Montessori Foundation. Our name is Montessori. We speak Montessori. We know Montessori. We also speak progressive, Catholic, Jewish, Islamic, Montessori, Waldorf, whatever kind of school you're running, we're happy to help. The Montessori Foundation, among other things, does help schools with recruitment and retention and marketing. So if you're ever interested in that, we are one of many people that are out there in the world trying to help schools solve enrollment problems. My big concern is the dropping birth rate, the decline in school-age children, and the fact that between inflation, war, elections, there are lots of reasons why schools are struggling to try to make sure they find the right families. If you're Montessori, it's not only will you fill the spots, it's will they stay with you? Because for us, a Montessori child can never be replaced. So whether you're at Clementine Montessori or Lumen Montessori or wherever you are, Kalamazoo Montessori, it's all good. And we're happy to have you here. Today, hello, Lisa. Today we are doing a reprise of something I've done a number of times, and I think you can never do it too often. If what I talk about today feels like something that is too late for you, it's okay. Think of this as a refresher and a reminder of what you could do next year. However, today is a good day to start. And from my experience, you can never miss out on an opportunity to try to develop a strong relationship with families. Hello, Janice Outerbridge. How are you? Good to see you, my friend. Again, we try to make this conversation. I see some old faces that are familiar friends. I see some people here maybe for the first time. Please know that these weekly webinars, you signed up for a series. You don't need to sign up again. There are two every single week, one on Tuesday, which is one series. This is called Finding the Perfect Match, which is generally all about building community and marketing, advertising, brochures, websites, onboarding families, anything having to do with building community, reducing attrition, contracting, anything at all having to do with enrollment. The other one is on Thursday, and we call that the Independent School Leaders Forum. It is, again, mostly Montessori, but it should be relevant to you, whether you're Waldorf or Reggio Emilio or Friends School, it doesn't matter. We understand what it's like to run all kinds of schools. My family founded the Berry School in 1932, Washington, D.C., now in Silver Spring, Maryland. I grew up knowing nothing but the world of independent schools, so St. Albans, Sidwell Friends, Georgetown Day. These are all my childhood playgrounds and the things I understand. And while I don't know as much about boarding schools, I know a lot about all kinds of independent schools and charter schools and these days public schools. So today's topic is, again, a new family onboarding playbook. And I do have a slideshow to share with you. But before I get started, is there anyone that has a question or a comment, a thought that you want to share before we get started? Okay. Nobody's jumped in, and that's okay. By the way, if you don't know, if you're a Montessori school, one of the programs of the Montessori Foundation is called Montessori Family Alliance. And our rationale is this. Most Montessori schools try to educate their parents. Most parents don't want to be educated. They think that we're trying to convert them or turn them into cult followers, and they just basically put wax in their ears. We believe the secret is to create a local branch of what we call the Montessori Family Alliance. We've been publishing Tomorrow's Child magazine for families for 35 years now, I think, 36. The Alliance is basically an organization that grew out of it. And if you're interested in learning more, you can either subscribe individually, you can subscribe as a school, or if you're interested, you can become an affiliate member and you can actually make money for your school by recommending this to homeschooling parents or newborn family. And again, some of you may know my books, How to Raise an Amazing Child, Montessori for Every Family, that I wrote with my friend Lorna McGrath, Montessori 101, or The Montessori Way that I wrote with Paul Epstein and Dr. Robin Howe, and lots of other articles and books. So, no comments yet from the gallery? Then I will share my screen and I will take you through this. And you will be getting, after this, Christy from my office will send you a link to the recording. She's going to send you the actual playbook, and she'll send you an article, and she'll send you the slideshow. So you're going to end up with a lot of information. And if in doubt, if you need still more, if you have questions, it's easy enough to reach me. You need to call the Montessori Foundation, or you send me an email at timselden@montessori.org or info@montessori.org, in which case the staff of the foundation will forward it on to me, and I'm happy to help. So, without any further ado, let me share with you today's wisdom. Hopefully it's wisdom. Hopefully it'll all make sense. Let's find it. We need Canva. Here's Canva. I see two windows in Canva. Geez, I'm just going to share my screen. That seems to be the safest. So right now you should be seeing yourselves. Now I'm going to switch from you to Canva. Helps when you got a staff working with you. Now you should be seeing Canva itself, I hope. And somebody reach out if you can't see. And by the way, once I'm broadcasting like this, I can't see if you ask any questions. So Lisa, if you would jump in, if you see anything, if people raise their hand or something, just let me know. Or just unmute, folks, because I will hear you. So today, what I'm talking about is the idea of an onboarding playbook. And for those of you that get confused, because I just posted an article about new staff onboarding, onboarding obviously means to bring people into your community, whether you're running a factory, a big corporation, a private school, and you're talking about bringing in new staff. Reorientation would be bringing staff back into the group, but onboarding is bringing them into the community. And in the case of families, the idea of onboarding is the idea that we're taking these new families who we admitted maybe last January, maybe 2 years ago when they first got pregnant, maybe they just showed up on Friday and they enrolled in your school. I don't know. The bottom line is most families come into a school confused, not sure what's going on, and they're looking for help. The idea of a playbook is the idea that most of us wing things. And what we recommend is that you remember that Montessori succeeds because Dr. Montessori worked out a system. And that system includes the design of the prepared environment, the way the day is structured, the idea of the 5 days a week, which doesn't mean if you do 2 or 3 days, you're not doing Montessori. It's just there is best practice. And if you're doing a modification, it's okay. We will always encourage you to do fully implemented best practice Montessori. And that's okay. And we won't judge you if you're not doing that. But the idea of onboarding is to develop a pre-designed plan, including every single email, every single event. Everything is all queued up, it's teed up. And ideally, what I'd like you to do is any of this that's useful to you, that you haven't already done for this year, whether I'm reminding you of things or giving you brand new ideas, great. And if not, tee it up for next year, because now's the right time to plan for 27, 28. The idea of a playbook is it's all written down and everyone knows exactly what needs to be done. So one of the things that we're really anxious to do when you talk about building community is to make sure that a family feels seen and welcomed. And a lot of parents really walk in and not quite sure what's going on. And we really want them to feel that they belong. If you want families to stay with you, don't be confused by the 15 to 25%, or maybe more, who are your true believers who love you for everything you do. Um, those people tend to get our attention. What we forget about is the people that hang back. And I believe that you cannot afford to lose a single child. The goal is to have every child stay with you every year until graduation, so you get no attrition at all. Now, I'm not a fool. I know that you're going to get attrition, but we don't want to assume that 50%, 40%, or 30% is the norm. It is not the norm. It's just what tends to happen a lot, and we want to put that to rest. So what we want to look at is how do you welcome families in every possible way, not only for the first day, but all through the year. So what you're going to get is a new family onboarding playbook, which is filled with specific ideas of emails and events. And of course, you're going to turn it into your own. You're not going to just do what I did. You're going to come up with your plan for your school. Now, the consequences of neglecting onboarding are profound. You get families that are uncertain and disconnected. You get families who are disengaged, and this leads to a lack of involvement, and they're not as interested in you. They appreciate you, but they don't know whether you're in a Montessori school or in a preschool. And if they don't appreciate you for what you are, they're going to give you what we call the Dear John letter, which says something like, Lisa, thank you so much for everything you did for Michelle. I will always remember, your Montessori Manor school. And thanks to you, she's gotten into the talented and gifted program at, let's say, the Park School in Baltimore. And she's entering kindergarten, and it's all because of you. And you're not sure if you're supposed to be proud or vomit. The idea is you don't want that kind of letter. You want families that are nagging you to extend upward to high school. That's how you know you're doing the job right. That doesn't mean you got to do that, but you want parents who are nagging you about where am I supposed to send my kid to college? There's no Montessori college. By the way, there is a Montessori college. That's a different story. So we want to address these challenges through a process that is planned and structured. And we want to create a welcoming atmosphere that creates families that really feel like they are engaged, they are part of a family. Now, the playbook includes 12 emails that we suggest you send out in sequence. We don't care if you use all of them, if you turn it into 24. I mean, I've got a plan at some of my schools where every single week I send out 2 emails a week. There's no wrong answer. But you want to have a minimum sequence, and I'd suggest 12 is basically 3 months. And you'll notice I'm going to talk about the first 90 days, but the truth is it's really 90 days before school starts and 90 days after school starts, and then the rest of the school year. In other words, it never really stops. So there's an email sequence, and there's a timeline which suggests when these things might happen, because there's a logic to it. And there are milestones that you're looking to hit, not only before school, but during the first months of school. And then there are touch points. And that's the idea of it's like date night in a family. You're deliberately saying, we make time for ourselves as a family or as a couple once a week, no matter what. So it's the idea of cultivating the relationship with your staff and your families. The playbook is not a rigid marketing tool. It is not rigid scripts. It's not one size fits all. It's something that you can take and modify to fit your family. If you get a PDF version of it and you don't get a Word version of it and you want a Word version, just reach out to me and I can do that for you. Usually we send out both. So again, before the first day of school, we need to cultivate that feeling of belonging. I don't care if they enroll in January, February, March, June, August. We've got to reach out right from the day that you are about to offer them admission and they're going to choose whether to accept it or not. We want to cultivate that relationship. And of course, it really starts even earlier because when they're first visiting you, you are cultivating a sense that we're here to help. We may not be what you're looking for. If we're not, it's okay. There's lots of great schools in our town. If what you're looking for is a Christian school and we're not that, it's okay. If what you want is a traditional school and we're not that, it's okay. What we don't want is you to come to our school and feel like we let you down. So, among other things, these are some basics. Learn each child's name and how to correctly pronounce it before they arrive, which means you ought to be able to recognize a kid by face. Now, ideally, you've got a picture of the child and a picture of the child's family, and how the devil you're going to get that. There's lots of ways. I would strongly recommend that you and your staff have it. The second is you want to ask families to share important thing are, who are the adults in their child's life? Not only mom and dad, but if they've got an older grown sister or grandma lives in the house or an uncle and aunt that come over every day, we ought to know who's involved with these kids. The nanny. The next is there are all kinds of ways that people structure families. It could be a single mom, a single dad. It could be two dads, two moms, mom and a dog. I don't know. Whatever it is, you want to know how is the family structured with a profound sense of respect. We are family friendly. We're not judging people. And we clearly want to send a warm personal note out before the first day of school that communicates to the parent and maybe a note that you're sending to the child even that uses the child's name correctly. So families show up to us the first day with what we call quiet questions. And they are basically, will you like my child? Will she be accepted? Are you going to think she's weird? Are you going to think that, she's got a learning disability? Are you going to judge us because we're Muslim? Are you going to judge us because we're LGBTQ2? Is there a place for us in this community? And a lot of times it isn't anything about ethnicity or religion. It may just be that people feel that everyone else in the school is much wealthier than they are, and they are just basically good blue collar family, and they feel like, do I belong here in this expensive private school? We want to make sure that everyone feels welcome. These are unspoken concerns. They shape how parents and their kids enter our space, how they are going to respond to our emails and invitations, whether or not they're going to allow themselves to trust us. For families who have experienced some kind of an exclusive situation where they didn't feel good enough, whether it's because they didn't speak English as their first language, because their culture was different, because of the way their family is structured, their abilities, their background. The idea of entering a new school can be very intimidating for parents and for kids. Our role is not simply to reassure people, it's to listen to them, it's to notice people, it's to see them and respond in ways that make the answer to every question they ask a quiet, certain yes, of course, you are welcome here. So we talk a lot in Montessori about preparing the environment, by which we mean the environment the children are in, but it isn't just a physical environment, it's a spiritual environment, it's a social environment, it's an emotional environment. In the same way, we want to create that kind of environment for families. And parents who navigate a Montessori environment often feel like they're in never, never land. They don't understand how Montessori works. They hear all this weird talk about sensitive periods and prepared environments and didactic apparatus. They don't know what the heck we're talking about. Planes of development, normalization, they don't get it. And so they tend to feel like Montessori is a cult, and they wonder whether or not we are going to prepare those kids for the real world. The typical parent feels like we may be a black hole. In other words, they send their kid to your school for a week and they don't get much back out of the kid. I mean, not sending home a textbook. You're probably not sending home textbooks. If you're sending home anything at all, it's something the kid has done, and it may or may not give a parent a good picture of what the devil is going on all day long. If you're using Montessori Compass or Transparent Classroom, probably what you're getting once a week is a whole bunch of photographs that the teacher took of you. And as Lisa Reiner, who's on this call, once said at a meeting I was at, it takes a day a week to tag all those photographs with the name of the kid so the parent gets the photographs that show their child doing work, but they don't necessarily understand what they're looking at. So they also tend to get a long list of Montessori lessons that the kid got during the week. And again, quite often they don't understand. I mean, what is addition with the golden beads? What do you mean the stamp game? What is that all about? So they hear these words and they don't understand. And even if there's a hyperlink that might show them what it is, they don't necessarily want to take the time to do that. They just want plain English. Did my kid get an A or a B? I mean, what's going on? Is she ahead of class? I mean, is she below grade level? What's going on? Again, in the mind of a typical parent, Montessori is like a black box. What families want is to feel seen, feel welcomed, and feel guided. And a good onboarding process is designed to help every family feel seen, warmly welcomed, and truly guided into the school community. We want them to hear, you belong here, and we're glad that you're with us. We want to welcome the parent, not only the child. Way too many Montessori educators either fawn all over the parents, which certainly happens, or they fawn all over the kids and they wish the parents would go away. And that concept is very common where parents are seen as intrusive and we don't want them in the classroom because they're going to disrupt the order as we're trying to normalize the class. And parents often feel put off by Montessori teachers. So what we want, again, a typical Montessori teacher is taught when a parent enters the room, if you're down on the floor giving a child a lesson, you're not going to get up and go greet the family. You're going to keep working with the child. And from the point of view of a parent, it feels like you're cold. So you have to have a plan of how do you help parents to understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and that it's not that they're not welcome. So there are 3 questions that we recommend that you reach out as an individual parent, could be at a school, and you do this at the start of the year. One is, what is your child interested and excited about at this point in his life? The second is, has anything happened at home since we last met? Is there a new baby? Is there a pet in the home? Did you lose someone in your family? Or did you lose a pet? Or is there anything else that we should know? Like grandma's about to move in. The third is there anything that you would like us to focus on, particularly with your child over this coming term? So it could be that they're anxious that the kid learn how to spell or learn handwriting or get ready for kindergarten or whatever it is that they have on their mind, which doesn't mean that we might want to push back, but we want to know what's on their mind. Any questions? Comments? No one's jumping in. So in the first 90 days, we want to have essential steps for creating strong connections. And these initial 3 months are crucial for building trust and ensuring that families feel connected to your school community. And basically, there are 2 things. One is to build trust, which is all about creating relationships between you and the families and each other, and the families and the child's teacher, and the families of the other children in the room. The other is we want to get them engaged, and that is ideally getting them engaged and wanting to learn more read more, understand what's going on, appreciate you for what you're doing, and ideally getting involved in some way, shape, or form as volunteers in the school. Whoop, sorry, let me go back. You have a timeline, and this is by no means a detailed timeline. In the playbook itself, you'll get more detail. But basically, it has four major steps. The first is to welcome people in, which happens from the moment you offer them admission. There's the creation of initial engagement, which again typically happens before school starts. And that's, like a nurture campaign series that you might be doing. We do it at the Montessori Foundation as part of our services. You probably have that if you're using some other service like Thrive Marketing or School Success or whatever. It's not unusual. It's the idea of creating a relationship before they start. Then there's the nurture, which is, again, it's part of the creation of a series of communications before school starts, but it also goes on really for at least 3 months, probably for the entire rest of their years in your school, but especially for the first 90 days. And the reason for that is after they've been with you for 90 days, probably the kind of information you're going to share will shift from how to work as a parent in our school to, how Montessori curriculum works or Montessori Parenting 101 or all kinds of things that might be relevant depending on the age of their child. And then finally is reflection, because we want our families to be thinking about what does this all mean? What do they appreciate about being part of our school? What would they like to make better? And what are they prepared to commit to? The idea of telling a parent that your child had a great day is not going to cut it. We do not want generic feedback. People really are looking for detailed information about their kids. And this is one of the biggest challenges we have, because if you're not going to give people like a simple worksheet, like she went to the bathroom 3 times a day and she ate her lunch and, whatever. There are some schools that send home a little sheet of paper every single day. And you're not going to give her a letter grade report card like A, B, C. Then what are you going to say to a parent in writing or verbally? And I would just suggest that most of the schools that I work with and have worked with don't do a very good job. And we wonder why the average parent doesn't really appreciate us that much. When I started Montessori in the 1960s, and when I was a kid growing up in Barrie, which was Montessori inspired, not officially Montessori, our report cards were basically long narratives. 5 to 12 pages was the norm of closely, single space narrative essay about the child. And that kind of essay is incredibly instructive to the typical parent if you can get your teachers to do it well. One of the projects we're working on at the foundation is a structure to help people that are using software like Illumine or Montessori Compass to write really strong narratives, preferably using AI to help them quickly get the ideas out. But this kind of narrative report is really, really valuable, and teachers often don't want to do it. Now, sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you either have run the first parent gathering or you will. And probably it's not going to be a very successful meeting any more than it has been in any previous years. The typical parent gathering is a parent information night, usually get a pretty high level of attendance. The typical parent is sitting in a little kid's chair. They're there at 6 o'clock at night when they'd really rather be doing almost anything else. And the teacher is typically lecturing them. I just sent out an email, I think, over the weekend read, that talks about how to make the first parent gathering more effective. I highly recommend you read it. And if you can, get your teachers to do it differently. You do not want to start the year off by boring half your parents to death. Now, parent education is indeed important because Montessori really is that different. And if they really begin to understand and appreciate what we're doing, they will feel much more connected to the school, much more appreciative of what's going on, and they're much more likely to stay and ask what can they do to help. So figuring out a way to communicate this in a way that they actually want to participate and do participate is the challenge because typically it's the same five parents that show up, right? So what we want to do is create a process, a structure that is transformative and thoughtfully brings parents into a full-scale experience of being part of your school community. And by the way, all of those parents that went away for the summer, they have to be reoriented because their kids, if they took ADHD medicine over the summer, they probably didn't take it over the summer. Excuse me, if they normally take it, they probably took the summer off. They probably got to sleep late. Basically, all the family rules typically are suspended in the summertime. You're trying to get these parents back into a school mindset. And even though you live and breathe the school, the average parent is not living and breathing your school. They got their own issues that they're dealing with. So again, it could be Pilates class, it could be the major project they're working on for work. Who knows what's going on? Their child is certainly important to them. The school maybe is that important to them, but maybe not. But the more you're able to create strong engagement with families, the more you're going to get really high levels of deep, deep connection and approval. Whoops. So again, creating community is very different from parent ed. Parent ed is when we try to tell parents, take us seriously, this is how we teach geometry. Building community is all about getting them talking. And at this point, I'm just going to stop sharing for a few minutes. I'm going to try to get you talking because it's all about us building community. Um, what are your thoughts about what I'm saying so far?
I went off of my mute, and so I'm Claudia Krikorian, and I have Montessori schools in Palos Verdes, California.
Hi, Claudia.
Hi, Tim. I've met you many times of the conferences. I've had my school 48 years, and I really agree with everything that you're saying. I think it's so important, building family community. And our challenge in our area right now is that the public schools are trying to bring in the young preschool age children by they're trying to force them into it, saying if you don't come now, then when you want to put your child in our public school system, you won't have first choice for your local school. You might have to go on the other side of the peninsula. And it's really a cheap shot, but that's what's going on. That's what we're up against. And they're trying to frighten parents into pulling the children out. So
Yep.
that's like my biggest challenge. As far as community, we have a very active Montessori Parents Association. I do parenting classes using Sunny McFarlane's book. And so I think that communication really is important. One thing that I noticed too, my grandson is now also involved in the school working with me. He went all through Montessori. My daughter went all through Montessori. But what what he finds too is that parents say, "Oh, I don't ever read." Like we have, it's called BAND for parent communication. And so we send out newsletters, we post a lot of pictures. Pictures are really wonderful. The parents love it and enjoy it. We'll take candid shots of the children throughout the day working with the materials. And it gives us an opportunity to start a conversation with a parent, like you use the color tablets, for instance. Well, we can say whether your child is really enjoying these, the binomial cube right now. And so it I think the pictures are really important for starting conversation with the parents. But now sometimes we'll get from parents, we don't read it anymore. I don't want to get banned posts. We don't want the emails.
Mhm.
Because they feel so it's hard. It's hard to find that. You have to find that sweet spot. Some like them and some don't really want to hear it. They just want to know if there's a problem.
Claudia, you may have heard me say this before. Um, David Kahn always said that Montessori is the victim of its own popularity. We've expanded to the point where we're taking in families who don't really want to be part of us and will not stay with us and are easily lured away by other things. You may have also heard me say the expression, you've been dating all the wrong guys.
Yeah.
So, you may know, Claudia, that I'm doing a lot of work in California because of universal pre-K and TK. Uh, I spend a week a month up in Oakland with Rockridge Montessori and Oak Grove Montessori, and I've done a lot of work with schools in that part of the Bay Area, trying to deconstruct what does it take to overcome this tendency
Mhm.
because you've lost 33% of all early childhood programs in the state already.
Yeah.
And Montessori programs are definitely struggling, as are all schools. I do think the strongest schools are going to survive. This is not unique to California, but you are the tip of the iceberg, if you will. It's worse there than in Maryland or Florida. But I think that this is really, really important for everyone that's listening, because if it hasn't happened already in your state, it's coming. So again, between the declining birth rate, the smaller number of children, the fact that because of the declining birth rate, public schools have more and more empty classrooms. They have a choice of either abandoning schools and laying staff off, or of creating new jobs and taking that on. In some states, like Florida, they may be giving the money to the parents to spend in the private sector. But in many more states, it's leading into our enrollment. And so the
Right.
idea of onboarding is really important. And here's my key point for those of you that really want to do this right. You want to take in families, ideally, who want you to have a high school, who would never send their kids to public school, who hate the public schools. Now, I'm not suggesting public schools deserve hate. I am suggesting that Montessori is so different from conventional private and public education that the ideal parent is someone that really, really, really wants something profoundly different. And they're willing to pay for it and invest in it. And again, there's a lot of different ways to raise a kid. You can homeschool them, you can micro school, you can send them off to some high tech school, you can send them to a nature school, you can send them to prep school. There are lots of solutions. We're not going to be right for everyone. I think that the name of this webinar is Finding the Perfect Match, the idea of finding the ideal parent for your unique school. Now, Claudia, that was meant to be a lecture for you because we're all doing the best we can with what we got. But I do think there's some wisdom in what I was just sharing. And
Mhm.
hopefully it means it will be of use to some of you in your strategies. Now, by the way, having said that, when you've got 25 spaces to fill and 2 weeks to fill them, you're going to take in families that are not the best match. I mean, it's just like when you're starving, you're going to eat empty calories. You need to. But every time we do, we're going to bleed off families, or we're going to get families saying, thanks, but don't send me any emails because I don't want to hear it.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of turning away the most of the families, at this point. We don't. I mean, I have a $70,000 a month obligation on my rent. So, and I have teachers that have been with me for 30 and some 40 years that I want to continue to provide, you know, a wonderful environment in which they can work. So, Yeah, it's kind of walking a tightrope right now.
Mhm.
But we go through the fifth grade, and we have a very good reputation, so we hold on to that. Um, but it's more challenging than I've seen it in all the years.
Absolutely. And again, I think marketing helps. It's not a cure-all, but really clear marketing of who are we for, what are we trying to find, recognizing you're going to get a mix of families that are on a spectrum from absolutely crazy and they're probably going to walk out in 2 weeks, all the way up to parents that will stay for a couple of years and leave at either age 4 or age 5. But
Right.
again, we work at improving the community one person at a time, finding the right
Yes,
families.
that's absolutely true.
Anyone else?
I have a question. I'm Debbie from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and we have a small private Montessori school. And the state requirements for our parent meetings, we're required to have two per year, one for our nonprofit and one, or sorry, two for our nonprofit, one for licensing. And licensing requires that we spend the majority of time talking about the licensing rules that parents are required to obey. So that takes up a huge chunk. And it's just like you said, Tim, it's very boring. And if we have parents that are coming back with a second child, sometimes even the second year, they will go on vacation rather than come because it's torture for them. And we were just talking about, before I got your email, about how do we do this different and cover our bases and still make this engaging. We really pride ourselves on our family community that we create during the year, but how do we do that from that point right from the get-go? That's a big
What,
question for us.
what Debbie, at the very least, what I would try to do is not have that boring meeting as the first one. Um,
Okay.
Give them a good series of experiences and then say, okay, we have a meeting that we have to do by law. And it's very important because there's specific rules and regulations that you should know about. And that's what this next meeting is going to be about. And of course, you should be there because it's very important to you. Now, if I could, I would do that meeting online rather than in person because who wants to pay for babysitting? Or if you're providing free childcare at school, who wants to go out at night in Kalamazoo, Michigan, whether it's in September when it's still daylight or in November? I'd probably do it in November. Basic bottom line is I'd probably do it on Zoom if I could.
Okay.
Can I share something?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm putting together a Jeopardy game for my parents where I've put all those boring things into funny Jeopardy questions, and I bought buzzers, and I'm going to put the returning parents, like one in each group, and have them run up and push the buzzer to answer questions. And then whichever team wins, I'm going to give them like a coffee card or something.
I love it. That's great. Margot says she's doing the same thing. This is like the idea of the game, Are You Smarter Than a Montessori Child?
Yeah.
It's great. And the essay that I sent out earlier this week about how to run this first boring meeting of the year, which usually is not like what you're describing, Debbie, regulations of childcare in the state. Usually it's drop off and what clothing you need to send with your kid and what time you need to be there, all that boring stuff. Usually what we'll do is just say, instead of the teacher giving the answers, the teacher's given everyone a list of questions and say, these are things you all ought to know the answers to. And some of you know the answers. It's your returning family. Some of you don't. Who wants to start? What question would you like answers to? Or who wants to be asked a question? Who knows the answer to how we do drop off? And you do all kinds of variations on it. Makes it a little bit more fun. By the way, if you
Yeah,
don't know the game, Are You Smarter Than a Montessori Kid? Let me know. We'll be happy to do a webinar on that. Thanks, Michelle Wagner.
Tim, I have a question or
Yeah,
comment.
sure.
So Janice Bridge from Summersfield Academy in Bermuda. Similar to Claudia, a lot of the other private schools have started foundation programs. So they're getting our kids at 4 years old. We obviously start at 3. They are giving offers out a year in advance. And so we have to start doing the same to be competitive. So we are offering spots at, say, like September. So we'll be giving offers like September for September 2027. And so when we talk about the onboarding process, like what would you recommend as far as the communications goes, leading, because that's a whole year before they actually start. So in June, we invite them back in. That's when we kind of do the orientation. They find out what class the child is in, but we've gone, 7, 8 months without a lot of communication. In May, the last month of school, we do admit them into our system. So they start receiving newsletters so they can kind of get an idea of what's happening at the school. But how do we kind of keep the interest and onboard them for those like silent 7, 8 months?
Well, Janice, if you haven't already seen the onboarding playbook, I'd say take the playbook and adapt that for the unique culture that I know that you have at Somerset. Another thing I would do is I'd start the Somerset symposia where you have guest speakers, get Paul Epstein, John Wolfe, me, Lynn Lawrence, whoever, whatever you think would be of interest to parents who are both in your school and these prospective parents. Invite everyone to come. Another thing you could do is invite graduates of the school or older students of the school to be part of panels that again are done online. Of course, they could be done in person. Again, knowing what it's like in Bermuda. Janice, I think you and I met each other 35 years ago, was it? I know what it's like on a rainy night on those scooters in Bermuda, so I don't know how many people want to come out at night. But the bottom line is what I would try to do is create as many opportunities, whether it's, sipping cocktails on the lawn or having bag races or other sports events where their kids who are going to be joining as little kids in the future for Somerset, establish a feeling of we're connected. The other thing is send out swag. I haven't looked to see what the current logos are and so forth, but I'd say send out clothing and bumper stickers for well, you're not allowed to have a decal on the back of a car in Bermuda. I
Yeah,
forget.
we can get a sticker. Yeah.
Can you now? Okay. Bottom line is, I think, give them a sense of bragging rights. Connect them to the school from an early age. And by the way, everything I'm saying can apply to any school, no matter how big or small you are. Clementine Montessori in Philadelphia, you can absolutely do variations of the same thing. It's not about big or small. Somerset's pretty big. Clementine, you're pretty small. It's all good. Everyone's got their own unique character. What you're selling is not Montessori as a generic product. And Somerset is, as I recall, largely IB these days, right?
Well, we do Montessori up to 9, and then it goes into IB.
It's all good. So the bottom line is Somerset has a unique identity and character. And what you're trying to do is bring those families in and make them fall in love with each other and fall in love with the school as an institution.
Thank you.
You bet. And again, anytime. Anyone else? So sorry, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing your name right. Susanna, where are you located, my friend? You look like it's dark there. You in Europe?
Hello, I'm from Czech Republic in
Yeah.
Zlín. So I'm from Butterfly Montessori Zlín School. And I was not here from the beginning, so I don't know what is the question. I'm sorry. I came late.
I'm delighted to have you. We're talking about how to welcome new families into the school.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about. It's the idea that if a family applies to your school, let's say in the winter, or in the case of Janice, she was saying she has to make her invitations occur in September. How do you develop relationship with those families when they're not starting with you until the following fall? And that's what we're talking about. What do you do? What do you do in Czech?
Okay. What do we do? So we have children from 1.5 year till 15 years old. So we have approximately 150 children. And what we do, we usually uh, uh, work with the parents when the enrollment starts. So we have a meeting with the parents in the beginning and with the child too. So we speak about, we don't know what they know about Montessori, and it really depends on in what developmental stage they are coming in. So if they come, uh, we really want them to come in very early age. So when they are in the toddler classroom, this is the best for us, I think, for everyone from us. But sometimes it happens that they come later if we have a capacity to take them. But what we do, we usually have we during the year we have a lot of some lectures or some opportunities to come and meet the community of parents. So we invite them to come. For example, for like now, the parents are very interested in digital, let's say digital, like how to avoid digital devices, or this in this world of digital of screens. And so we of course tell them that the best is zero time with the digital devices until 12 years old. And then so we usually connect them by their interests. So I usually ask them what they are interested in, like, I mean, all parents, and then we invite also these parents who are waiting, or if they are on the waiting list. So they are welcome to come to our meetings and our like lectures. And we do a lot of also funny things, like we have some fire at our forest, like adolescent forest, where they come and they do some sausages and drink beer. And for children we have a lot of funny stuff. So they meet also like on the different like different in different funny places. Like they just don't come only for the lectures. They will meet also like people to people and speak also. They love them. Our parents from kindergarten, they love to talk from with our graduates who really love to come. So we are very happy about that. So this is very interesting how they are so, I don't know how to say that, they are self-esteem. They know how to work in this world. And also for us as teachers, it's very beautiful that they will come and they give us advice, like what the children need in this world. And how like sometimes they say to us, don't give them this, don't show them that, like keep on going what we were doing, like this is very important. So sometimes it's, I don't know if I answered the question
Oh, yeah.
well. Yeah. Yeah.
Suzanne, I'm so glad you joined us, and I hope you'll join us again. What time at night is it there? About 9 o'clock?
It's okay, I will tell you. 8. So it's
Okay.
fine.
Well, I'm delighted to see you. And again, we are a global community. The Montessori Foundation works with Montessori schools around the world. And by the way, for those who haven't been to the Czech Republic before, it is a vibrant, very exciting Montessori community, as is Poland. Really, all of Europe is vibrant, but I'm particularly impressed with everything that's happening in your country.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you told some great stories. Sitting around watching the fire and drinking beer. Guys, this could be us.
Yeah.
Um, Cindy Acker was on a webinar with me last week, and she was saying that in her school, what they do is, in addition to the typical beginning of school year meetings, they have a camp out where the parents and the teachers and the children are invited to go to a public park. They bring their tents and they have a camp out. And I know at Barry, I used to do that kind of thing with families, and kids loved it. We used to do it on the playground. There's no wrong answer, or you could do it in your classrooms. Leslie, Lisa, you could do it at Montessori Manor. They could be sleeping on the floor in their sleeping bags.
We have a great yard. We could definitely do it in the yard. I love the game ideas too, and the
Oh,
fair idea.
that is
I have a lot
wonderful.
of notes from today, so thanks.
Good. Well, thanks to Michelle and everyone else who's been throwing out these great ideas. Okay, anyone else have anything you want to ask or contribute?
I would like to ask you a question about social media. So I'm so old school. In fact, I still use my Rolodex. I make fun of myself because I'm always pen to paper, and so my grandson, who went all through Montessori, our school, he went from the toddler from 18 months through graduation at 5th grade, and then went directly into middle school from there. He said to me, he was a business major in college, and he asked me about my SEO. And he said, when I Google searched Peninsula Montessori School, you didn't come up until the 9th page. And he said there were schools in other states that came up before we did. And so he told me that I needed to get my SEO up. I'd only ever done magazine, advertising, spreads, usually stories on their school that we get. But I'd never done like pay to play on what is it? Google?
Basically, just with the current ad budget that I've had, we've done an allocation between Google demand search as well as the engagement one, just to get more reach for like parents in the area that aren't too familiar. Social media with Meta, with regards to the budget, it's not as allocated, just because it's more confined with what I have. So we allocate like a certain amount monthly with a cost per lead of $36 right now. And that has brought in some tours, and I know that's a little bit.
Are you finding the same thing? Are you finding that you have to pay for, like, you have the lead words, right?
Keywords.
Optimized keywords. See, this is all foreign to me, and nothing that I've ever, because I always had like a 2-year wait list. We had 450 kids. We had a big wait list, and we don't anymore, for the most part.
There's an old saying, without marketing and advertising, a terrible thing happens. Nothing. Trust your grandson and probably put a lot more money into it than you are now.
Yeah.
The way I always think of it is, if I spend 50,000, how many children do I need to get to at least break even? And how many spots do I have? So at Barry, we were spending about $150,000 a year. I'd say today I'd be spending, and the Barry was back in the 90s. I would say today I would recommend that you have a budget of somewhere between a low of 1,000 and probably a high of 6,000 for most schools. And again, you're in California, and I'm not quite sure.
Per month. Per month, you're talking about.
We spend about 500 per month, and I do strictly Google, and I know the cost of a lead is about 90. We're averaging 36, so we're still doing.
Yeah, you're doing well.
But then with regards to the scaling, it's only so much.
But I also do magazine. I mean, that's just with Google or with the internet. But I also do, like, I just did a $2,500 spread in a magazine in the local
But you have to
magazine.
search for it, and you have to find it within the specific. Yeah.
Yeah, I will only say that the general feeling for most products these days is it's not that print doesn't have any value, but has such a low shelf life,
Yeah,
and is so targeted, and people are so overwhelmed with marketing messages these days that usually it's not the best investment for what we're doing. It's a good investment. It all depends on what you're selling and who you're selling to. So
right.
if it were
Yeah.
me, I would definitely do print. I'd probably also do billboards. I do NPR. I would do TV and radio. I would definitely be doing Facebook and Google big time. Um,
Instagram?
yeah,
Instagram
well,
is part of
yeah,
this.
it's part of
Okay.
it. Yeah.
And
Listen to your grandson. He's
All
on the
right,
right
got
track.
it.
And I think
Thanks.
his budget's too low.
He was a great Montessori student, and yeah, I have to just trust it. Yeah.
We talked about doing different, like having an idea was doing a professional videographer to do content days and then do targeted optimization within a certain demographic based on current clientele. So that way it's more optimized for ad spend. And then it also highlights the visuals of the Montessori environment. Since I know Google Ads has been great, especially since we're getting a lower cost of conversion per like lead that we're getting, and the closing that we've been doing to the tours has been good. I just know it's not as visual, but we did a very big funnel through the website with lots of integrated backlinks and all that, meta titles in the back and everything, and made it like a visual experience where they can interact with different things, learn about the materials, learn about what it does for the child, different proficiencies and all that. So that's where I've pretty much put all the ad spend, just with it being confined. But I think also incorporating that in with organic and both paid reach with Meta could help also give that visual desire and create more word of mouth among parents who do see that.
Claudia, listen to this young man. What's your name, son?
My name is Tanner. Yeah.
Tanner Hickson.
Tan-
Yeah.
Tan-
Tanner.
Tanner. Yeah.
Tanner, I'm Tim. I'm a second generation. My kids are the grandkids, if you will.
Okay.
It's really good to meet you. My mother was founded a big school, so I kind of grew up like you did with Claudia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good. It sounds
My
to me like
kids work at my school, so when I saw you in the background, I thought, I know who that is. Because I recognize that slow pause. Are you talking about me? What's going on? So
Yeah.
I'm glad you spoke.
In the
yeah.
background.
Thanks, Tanner.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, appreciate it.
And Tim, I have the Tomorrow's World magazines, and I bought like for the parents sometimes, not every year, but I bought like a magazine for each parent. You know, I buy them in bulk sometimes. The Montessori one-on-one, the 101, what every parent should know. It's fabulous, and you've done such amazing work. And I have told you before in person, but I just want to thank you again for all you do. Really, I have tremendous respect for all you do, and that you continue to do it. And I think that's
Thank you.
great.
And there's no one way to do things. You know, lots of people out there trying to figure out how do we crack the code and get the right families in and make sure we're always full, and and that we're not making ourselves crazy.
And you know, being that again, I've had my school for 48 years, and people say, why at your age are you still doing this? And I I just feel like, what else would I be doing? I mean, this is it's so important. I feel it's so important, this work, and really grateful. I'm grateful for these kind of talks too. I usually find myself so busy. I think, oh, that would be great, but I can't at my appointments. And this morning I thought, oh my gosh, I have this moment free. And
Well,
so
I'm glad you came. I'm glad you talked. And
thank you.
please know you are always welcome. You're all always welcome, and we'd love to see more conversation.
All right, thank
Usually
you.
it's Margaret or Margot doing most of the talking, right, Margaret?
So I will say, Claudia, I started with Tim. Actually, I knew of Tim when I first fell backwards into Montessori and have been familiar with Tomorrow's Child we're going into our 25th year at school. So we seem like a baby compared to you. But I started in Montessori 30 years ago, actually over 30 years ago. We just did the math the other day. This is the best time, and I block it out all the time, unless there is an emergency that comes up. This is the hour I block a week, or this and Wednesday, or this and Wednesday and Thursday. But these are the times that I hold on to unless I absolutely can't, which usually means a child. Something with a child. It can be a pleasant something with a child, but sometimes the kids trump it. But
Yeah.
this is well worth blocking.
Thanks.
Oh,
Lisa.
no, I definitely want to. I found that last year I had a teacher that as we were leaving for winter holiday, we have 2 weeks off at the holidays, and she said, I'm moving to New York. I'm leaving. And she said, so I'm giving you my 2 week notice. And that was at the beginning of our 2 week holiday. And at the same time, her assistant quit as well. So here I was, the parents are thinking, you must have known, you kept it from us. I said, I had no clue. I was blindsided just as you are. And the next question from them was, well, what are you going to do about it? I said, well, it looks like I'm going to be back in the classroom teaching full time. So I took on that classroom and I taught full time. It was a transition from ages 4 to 7 in my classroom last year. So yeah, but luckily this year, this will not be the case. I'm ready to be back in my position.
Again,
Yeah, I
we're
wouldn't
glad
trade
to-
it, but those curveballs come.
Yeah,
Whew,
they
they
sure
do.
do. Margaret, I see you unmuted.
Well, I was going to say, we were just talking about that meeting that's going to happen the day after school starts. So I got some wonderful ideas from all of you. And we're not going to have the boring meeting that I thought we were going to have. And I think asking questions, the Jeopardy thing is pretty cool, but I got too much to do right now. But I did get some great insights from all of you. And I've just really recently joined him with your meetings, and I have to agree, these have been so, so helpful. And I'm still in the classroom. My school's 20 years old this year. I've been doing this for 40. So I'm just thankful that I have found you, Tim, to get some insight on how to do it differently. Thank you.
Thank you. And Margaret or anyone, if you haven't seen the article on how to do that first meeting of the year, if you haven't seen it, just send me an email and I will send you a copy. And it's on my LinkedIn profile. It's one of my articles, but if you haven't seen it and you need it, please just reach out to me and I'll send it to you. Okay.
I will do that. Thank you.
And again, after this, usually in about an hour or two, you'll get an email from Christy at my office, and she will send you the link to the recording. She'll send you today's PDF of the slideshow. And I didn't cover all the slides, so there's still more. An article and the playbook itself. Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you
So
so
good to
much.
see old friends like Janice and Becky's there in the background, and new friends like Lily and Debbie. I'm really glad to meet you folks. And Margaret, I appreciate that you make time to be with us. And Claudia, glad you came.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Thanks,
See you
everyone.
all later.
Ew, it was wonderful. Bye bye. Take care.
Thanks for coming, Susanna.
Yes.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Goodbye, dear.